It's been extremely useful, and just sort of in the first few moments of the actual seminar, I sat there and realised quite how many business hours are wasted, both by myself and by my colleagues, in doing ineffective searches. So very, very useful.
It's been really excellent because I do a lot of research for my boss, and until now I've wasted a lot of time. From now on I will certainly save a lot of time using the strategy that Neil taught.
Neil's clearly an expert in his field, so no hesitation to recommend him. That the talk today's proved that. But it's also helped me to be able to give the brief to him. Looking at the criteria that he searches by will help me brief him.
Well, certainly I didn't know some of the basic tips that he gave us around, ands and ors and putting spaces in or not putting spaces in. Some simple things. I would have just typed in the words I wanted information about and then wondered why I was getting a sporadic response. So I feel that when I am doing research for myself now, I've got a much better idea of how to specifically search for the information I require.
I will change using a strategy, thinking before I actually just go in there and start typing. I think that's a great idea, and using everything he told us about and, or, not, brackets. I thought the language translation was brilliant because I'm always going looking for language translations, and it's simple and quick.
This is going to be my Bible now for how I'm actually going to conduct all my searches, because I know I can extract the information I need in a much shorter time frame and be much more effective about how I go about targeting new clients.
I found the seminar absolutely fascinating today. It made me realise within our business we're key to outsource the accountancy function, and we're key to outsource our HR function and IT. But it never occurred to me when I'm playing around on Google thinking I'm doing an effective job to be able to tap into the skills of somebody like Neil. And it made me realise I really need to save time in my working practices and get the experts in to do the job properly.
I think today's seminar has been really successful because, judging by the number of nods, and indeed when we're doing the hands-on exercise, people were getting really good feeling for how they could constructively evaluate a website. So I think people got a great deal of value from it. My seminar today has been about the power of exploiting Google. Not just Google Advanced, not just going to the homepage and tapping in keywords, but really tapping into the power of advanced Google. Looking at the breakdown of the specific features, but powerfully consolidating them and using several of them in one fell swoop, so you can get a research result which might only perhaps have 20 or 30 results, but they could all be powerfully relevant. But at the same time, pointing out to people that they should not rely 100% on Google. I was showing them some of the fundamentals, the so-called Boolean operators, which can actually really fine-tune a standard method of searching, combining different elements of a search. And finally, I was showing them how they should actually sit down and consider and develop their strategy beforehand. And in the long term, they save so much time. I think one particular point I would really want to highlight that I think is particularly important today is the use of the customized search engine. Within Google, you can extract from your own list of favorites, but with the customized search engine, people can actually create their own tailored search engine. It might only have half a dozen sites in. It could be one specific site. It could be one page within a site. Maybe they've come across a particularly wonderful site, but that site doesn't have its own search facility. So by creating their own tailored search engine, they can then do a search, and all results retrieved are purely from their sites which they have chosen in the first place. So having evaluated their own collection, they're doing a very fine-tuned search, but also, very powerfully, they can create any number. So if they have a particular collection of sites for client A and other sites for client B, so it's a matter of looking at their own evaluated sources, but searching them in a very time-efficient way. I think that is one of the most powerful lessons I've shown people today. Another key element which I've shown people, which they can use even in the basic search of Google, is putting their search question or their phrase in inverted commas. The example I gave them was putting James Bond in inverted commas. Now, if they just put James Bond, so they might well have got sites for James Bond, but they could have also got references to every other James there is under the sun, or Basildon Bond. But by putting it in inverted commas, they get only sites relating to James Bond. However, real value can be added to that when they add in a second phrase. if you want to say in the case of the James Bond, adding in a film title, such as say You Only Live Twice or From Russia With Love, again in inverted commas. Then perhaps the third one, adding in Sean Connery. Or it could be, say, marketing, then a particular demographic group or a particular region of the country, say northwest of England, for example. And then, effectively, the Boolean operator is presumed by the search engine, so it puts the AND operator, effectively finds what is the common ground between each of these phrases, and that can produce a very small amount of results. So it's a matter of using the presumed Boolean to consolidate all three and find the common ground, but with the premise of having the phrases in inverted commas, and using those two things together produces a very refined set of results in a very time-efficient way. I think the key thing that people can take away from this seminar today is the fact that they would quite significantly reduce information overload. Perhaps not remove it entirely, but they would significantly reduce it to a much more manageable quantity. And so they would have better use of their time. And people can waste hour upon hour upon hour. Using the strategies I've shown people today, they can say the biggest saving for them is time and therefore money. Not only their time, but if they're in a business and employing people, they could be using time out of their payments that would be paying for people's salaries, wasted time, achieving nothing at all. So really saving time and therefore saving money. To find out more about what INFOley information does, go to www.INFOley, that's INFOLEY.co.uk, and you'll find out more about what the company does and the full contact details. Thank you very much for watching.